The 4th of July is a time for families to get together, a celebration of our nation's independence, and a time to fire up those grills.
However, this day can sometimes get out of hand with the use of fireworks. Captain Barrett Baker joins us now to give us some safety tips how to keep everybody safe. Captain?
Thanks for having me again.
This is the most dangerous day of the year, isn't it?
Well, it certainly can be, and it is the #1 day when it comes to fires, and obviously a lot of those would be directly correlated to the fireworks themselves.
And so we're talking about fireworks stands that have popped up. Is this legal? Is this not legal? How do we know if we're buying from the right place?
Sure. In the city of Tucson, the easiest way to look at it now is if it says caution, then you can use it. And we've brought some examples when it comes to the sparklers, the smoke things that are going to be on the ground for the most part. Obviously, there's still some dangers that come along with those. But again, if it says caution on the warning, caution, use only under close adult supervision, for outdoor use only, do not put in mouth, lay on the ground. I mean, these things obviously seem to be very commonsensical, but obviously sometimes they're not. The other thing that you'll have is something that says warning. And if it says warning, then that's something that we're not going to be able to use in the city. So caution is a go, warning is a no-go. And obviously the dry conditions, we've not had much in the way of rain when it comes to monsoon. So those are obviously our concerns when it comes to the fires. But twofold, you have fire concerns just because of the fact that things are so dry, but you have the medical problems when it comes to the fireworks. Right. And again, they can be dangerous. That doesn't mean they have to be dangerous. So if you follow some of those simple rules, the adult supervision, you know, spraying something down beforehand. I have a 10, a 7, and a 4-year-old. And I don't think I'm to the stage yet that I could say, here you go, kids, go have a great time.
Right.
I mean, it says adult supervision for a reason.
We, for the 4th of July, when we were little, we always used to have sparklers. Well, one time a sparkler was in the ground, and my sister backed up into it, and she had shorts on, burned the back of her legs, and we've never had sparklers or firecrackers again.
And there you go. I mean, we really do think of the sparkler as being something that is kid-friendly and it's kid-safe.
Yep.
And I mean, if you do it the right way, it certainly can be, because this one in particular, it's got a long handle, and if I'm holding that away from my body and we're not jousting with it, then we should be okay.
You're right.
But the tip of the sparkler itself, when that's ignited and fully going, it could be upwards of 2,000 degrees.
Right.
Well, 2,000 degrees is going to burn anything. So if you have the beautiful long flowing locks like you, okay, you do not have long flowing locks.
And
I just gave you a haircut.
in this business.
Exactly. So it's going to smell terrible. You're going to have a terrible haircut going forward. So there's definitely some things that you have to be cautious. No, you know, don't touch each other. Don't wave them around. I mean, if you use them the way they're supposed to, which is basically holding them away from you and just looking at them, then that's going to be the safest bet for you.
And Captain, you mentioned this earlier. I'm glad you said that because we think of checking the weather, the wind, but you mentioned wetting down the area. You really want to look all the way around before you light anything or set anything off to make sure that the conditions are okay on that day.
Exactly. We've been lucky. 2 years ago, we got a monsoon earlier in the day on the 4th of July, and that was a big benefit for the actual mountain fireworks because that's something we can discuss. But yeah, I mean, these things, if something is burning at 2,000 degrees, if it has sparks and it's emitting something like that, well, sparks can take something that is combustible and ignite it. So if you do the little step and wet it down beforehand, that's going to get things a little wet. While you're actually igniting those fireworks or the sparklers, whatever they may be, have a little bucket of water and have that same hose ready. Because again, we say this all the time, but you want to act like something bad is going to happen, and that when it does happen, you're not surprised by it. But if you're taken by surprise by anything, that's when bad things tend to happen.
And I'm sure you've gone out on a lot of calls, but what are some of, you know, the mistakes that you've seen where you're kind of like, duh, how did this even happen? But, you know, common sense is also sometimes not the most common sense that people have, especially dealing with this.
And everything that has happened that's bad has happened to somebody else, so we want to learn from that and prevent that from going forward. And kind of the things that we've talked about, the area that you're doing it in. If you're, you know, standing in an area that's heavily weed and you know, dry and weed, then that's not a good area to obviously be doing anything fireworks related. If you don't wear safety glasses, I mean, so the injuries themselves, over 50% are basically involved with your hands, your fingers, and your eyes. So what does that tell you? There's some that's the real dangerous area to be playing with fireworks. So put on safety glasses if you're going to use that. You know, don't ever try to relight a firework. If it's a dud, it's a dud. Move on, go to the next one.
I can see people relighting, trying to relight them.
That didn't work right. That didn't work right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of the, use long-handled matches if you can do that. The further away your hand from something is, the better chance that if something goes wrong, that it doesn't have a bad thing happen to your hand. So a long-handled match, or a long match itself, excuse me, What are some of the other big things? I mean, there's so many to discuss, and we have so
Yeah,
little
I
time
know.
to do it. But I mean, again, follow the directions, because they obviously will lay out as specifically what you can do from a safety standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't ever want to use common sense, because that varies
It
from
does.
person to person.
It really
if you
does.
do follow those instructions, again, don't play with them. Realize that they are dangerous if you don't use them properly. And using that caution, you should be okay.
Perfect. Well, Captain, thank you very much for keeping us safe this
My
4th
pleasure.
of July.
Have a great day on Friday.
Thank
the
you.
same.
You too. And still ahead on the Morning Blend, we'll let Freedom sing with a live performance from the event to celebrate Independence Day.
Plus, we'll get a lesson in balloon art coming up right after the break.